My ex-wife had an affair with my cousin and convinced our daughters I cheated and abandoned them. But my oldest found their old burner phone, full of messages bragging about turning the girls against me, and she exposed them both at her engagement party in front of the entire family. Hello Reddit I+ here. I never imagined my life would unravel this badly. If someone had told me a decade ago that the people I trusted most would try to erase me from my own family, I would have laughed. Now I know better. My name is Gavin, and I am 51 years old. 7 years ago, my marriage of 21 years ended in a way I still struggle to understand. My former wife, Marissa, was 39 at the time, and, to everyone who knew her, she seemed like the picture of compassion and loyalty. We had 2 daughters, Tessa, who was then 18, and Kira, who had just turned 15. From the outside, we looked solid. I worked as a regional engineer for a transportation company, often traveling between highways and construction zones scattered across 3 states. It was demanding and sometimes exhausting, but it paid well and gave my family the home, the opportunities, and the comfort I felt proud to provide. While I was out managing safety audits and signing off on reports late into the night, something else was happening behind my back, something I never saw coming. Marissa filed for divorce one cold morning in November. I remember the way she placed the papers on the kitchen table like she was sliding a menu toward a stranger. She accused me of having an affair with a young coordinator from my company. I thought it was a joke. I actually laughed when she said it, but the look in her eyes told me she was deadly serious. Within a week, the rumor spread across both sides of our family. Suddenly, I was the aging husband who had traded his wife for someone half her age. The cruel part was how easily people believed it. My travel schedule, my late nights, the messages from clients that popped onto my phone during dinner all became evidence that I was living a double life. Then came the restraining order. I still have nightmares about the moment 2 officers knocked on my door and asked me to step outside. Marissa had claimed I was aggressive and threatening. None of it was true, but it did not matter. I was ordered to pack a single suitcase and leave that very hour. I moved into a run-down apartment on the edge of town, far from the home I had built and the daughters I adored. I thought that was the lowest point. I was wrong. Tessa and Kira wanted nothing to do with me. Tessa blocked my number within days. Kira returned every gift I tried to send. They had always been close with their mother, and Marissa wasted no time filling their ears with stories of my betrayal. I tried to tell them the truth, but to them I was a liar who had destroyed our family for some bright-eyed 24-year-old. What I did not know, at least not yet, was that while I traveled for work, Marissa was seeing someone else. Not a stranger, not a coworker. No, she was having an affair with my cousin. His name was Bennett, and he was 42 at the time. He had that polished charm some people never grow out of. A salesman with bright smiles, perfect hair, and a voice that could talk a shark into buying sunscreen. Growing up, we were close, practically brothers. I trusted him with everything. If you had asked me then whether he would ever betray me, I would have sworn on my life he never would. I was wrong about that too. In the months after the divorce, Bennett became a constant presence in Marissa and the girls' lives. At first it was small things, fixing a shelf, driving the girls to appointments, showing up at Tessa's soccer games. By the end of the year, he was attending school meetings, cheering at events, and helping Kira with math homework. He became their hero exactly as I became their ghost. Family gatherings grew unbearable. My parents were elderly and believed whatever story was easiest to accept. My brother, Jerome, tried to stay out of it and ended up leaning toward Marissa's version. Even my aunt, Bennett's mother, chose silence rather than confrontation. Only my Uncle Harland seemed skeptical, but he did not push. I felt like the villain in a story someone else had written. For 3 years, my life shrank. I worked, I slept, I tried to see my daughters during supervised visits. They rarely spoke more than a few sentences. Most days, they did not look at me at all. I kept sending support payments, kept trying to be present from a distance, kept hoping something would shift. Nothing changed. Until everything did. The turning point came when Tessa turned 21. I received a formal notice from her attorney asking if I would agree to let Bennett legally adopt her. She did not need an adoption since she was already an adult. She wanted to send a message that I no longer existed. It hurt worse than anything I can describe, but I refused. That choice only made Tessa more distant. Kira followed her lead. I had almost given up hope. Then one evening, nearly 7 years after the nightmare began, I received a call that stopped my world. It was Tessa. She had not called me in years. Hearing her voice say "Dad" again made my chest tighten so hard I had to sit down, but she was crying. breathless and frantic. For several minutes, she could not speak. When she finally did, her words came out in pieces. She and Kira had been helping Marissa clear out a rented storage unit to save money. Behind stacks of dusty boxes, Tessa found a small wooden case taped shut. Inside was a cheap burner phone that she thought might hold old pictures from when she and Kira were kids. But it was not an old photo phone. It still worked, and it was full. More than 600 messages between Marissa and Bennett. Messages from long before the divorce. Messages bragging. Messages planning. Messages laughing about how easy it had been to turn the girls against me. Marissa wrote things like, "The girls believe everything, and it will be simpler once they hate him completely, and he cannot fight what he cannot prove." Bennett wrote things like, "Once he stops trying, we can live peacefully, and just keep pushing the affair story," and they already see him as the villain, perfect. But the message that shattered both my daughters was this one from Marissa. "If I make Gavin look awful enough, he will stop asking for custody. Then we can finally live the life we want without his shadow." Tessa read every message. Then Kira read them too. They cried in each other's arms for hours. That night, they called me together. We talked for the first time like a family again. They asked if they could see me. I drove over, and the moment they opened my car door, both of them wrapped their arms around me and sobbed. I have never cried harder in my life. They had already confronted Marissa. At first, she denied everything. Then she broke. She tried to justify it, saying she deserved happiness. But there is no justification for destroying your children's relationship with their father. Bennett was worse. When confronted, he shrugged and said it had all been complicated. He said feelings happen and families adjust. According to Tessa, he did not care at all. Tessa and Kira did something I never expected. They made a plan. Tessa was having her engagement party in 10 days. Marissa and Bennett would both be there. My entire family would be there too. And Tessa wanted the truth revealed in front of every single person who had believed the lies. I told her she did not need to do something so dramatic. She said she did. She said she wanted me there too, standing where I should have been all along. The night of the event, I arrived quietly. People whispered when they saw me. I ignored it. For the first hour, I stood near the back while Marissa and Bennett walked around smiling, as if they lived guilt-free lives. Then Tessa stepped up to give her speech. She thanked her fiancé, thanked his family, thanked her friends. Then she paused. Her voice trembled. She said she owed the truth to everyone who had trusted her, especially the person who deserved an apology more than anyone else in her life. Then she lifted the burner phone. She read the first message from Bennett, then another from Marissa, then another. The room went silent. Marissa froze. Bennett tried to stand, but Uncle Harland forced him back into his seat. Tessa read messages about the affair. Messages about the lies they told. Messages about the plan to destroy me. Messages about turning my daughters into weapons. Guests gasped. Someone dropped a glass. My sister left the room crying. My mother covered her mouth with both hands. When Tessa finished, she pointed at me and said, "My father never abandoned us. We abandoned him because we were manipulated. He is the only parent who never stopped loving us." Kira stood beside her and said the same. I felt tears rolling down my face in front of everyone, something I never thought I would allow. But in that moment, it felt right. Marissa tried to speak, but no one wanted to hear her. Bennett slipped toward the door, but 2 of my cousins blocked his way and told him to sit down and face what he had done. Uncle Harland stared at him like he was a stranger. That night did not erase the pain of the last 7 years, but it was the beginning of something new, something real. Now, months later, I see my daughters every week, sometimes twice. We are still rebuilding, but the effort is mutual now. We take slow steps, share meals, laugh at old memories, create new ones. They tell me they love me at the end of each visit. I say it back every time. Nothing will give me back the years I lost. But I have something I once thought was gone forever. My family. And we are healing together. In the weeks after the engagement party, everything in Marissa's world began collapsing. Word spread quickly through both sides of the family. People who once defended her no longer returned her calls. Friends who had believed her version of the divorce quietly stepped back. And for the first time since everything began, she lost control of the narrative. That did not stop her from trying. She showed up at Tessa's apartment unannounced 3 different times, claiming she had been pressured during the divorce, and that Bennett had manipulated her. Tessa refused to let her inside. The 4th time, Tessa called me right away. I drove there, stood by my daughter, and watched Marissa try to play the victim with both of us. She talked fast, wiping her eyes every few seconds and insisting the messages were misunderstood. Neither of us believed a word. Kira received long messages late at night, paragraphs of excuses mixed with guilt trips. When those failed, Marissa tried turning the conversation into reminders of childhood traditions and holidays, hoping nostalgia would make Kira soften. Instead, Kira blocked her number for 2 weeks just to breathe. Her final attempt was the boldest. She came to my workplace one afternoon, telling the receptionist she needed to speak with me immediately. I stepped into the lobby and found her waiting with a folder in her hands. She said she wanted to start fresh and that the girls were being influenced by anger. Then she tried shifting blame onto Bennett, insisting everything had been his idea. I told her there was nothing left to discuss. I told her that whatever she was trying, the girls already saw the truth for themselves, and I was not interested in reopening old wounds. She tried one last angle, saying she was afraid of losing them. I replied that she had made that choice years ago. Over the next month, her attempts fizzled out. Every push she made only brought the girls closer to me. Tessa started calling me just to talk about wedding plans. Kira visited my place more often, sometimes bringing dinner and insisting she wanted to learn how to cook my old recipes. Eventually, Marissa realized the truth she had spent years avoiding. She no longer had control. Her lies had run out of places to hide, and the daughters she once weaponized had chosen to stand with the father they finally saw clearly. For the first time in a long time, peace started settling into our lives. A quiet, steady peace that Marissa could no longer touch.